All right, so I just got done watching the first two episodes of Doctor Stone, which, if you don't know what Doctor Stone is, it's an anime, and it is being made by TMS Entertainment. And if you don't know their previous works, maybe you've heard of D. Grayman or Megalobox. I've watched both of those, and I can very much say that they're very good. And Doctor Stone, so far, based off of two episodes, mind you, this is two episodes, so take it with a grain of salt. So far, the first two episodes are very, very good. So, what is Dr. Stone about, you might be asking? Well, Dr. Stone is about a hypothetical situation in which the world one day was engulfed with this green light and everyone was frozen in stone. And the first to emerge from the stone is the main character, Senku. I believe I'm saying that name right. He's the one with the green hair, the like onion top looking hair. And he is beyond a genius. He is like a crazy level, like Hollywood genius. The way he stayed alive is that he counted and thinked at the same time. Think about that. He's counting the seconds that are passing while also thinking, so in that way he stays alive while he's in his stone form. The other main character so far is Taiju, I believe is how you say it. Taiju. He is very much a kid who was in love with this girl named Yuzihara, something like that. I can't really. Again, I'm bad with names, but he was in love with this girl, and the way he stayed alive in the stone form was that he constantly kept thinking about her, thinking about, I can't give up because she is waiting for me. I have to save her. And so 3,700 years have passed. Nature has taken over, and the world has reset. Civilization has reset, and it's up to Senku and Taiju to restart civilization. And by the end of the first episode, this was actually pretty major. I didn't expect this. But by the end of the first episode, they do develop a solution that can free the people from the stone, meaning that they can bring back everybody. And after this, it's just like a huge revelation. It's awesome how Taiju, who is very much like the brawn, and Senku is the brains, how Taiju reacts to everything that Senku says. He's very much sort of like the audience and saying, like, Senku's really smart. He freaks out. He's like, whoa, this is so cool. How do you know this stuff? And then Senku is just like this amazing genius who's just like, never doubt me. he has this saying where he keeps saying, like, I'm 10 billion% sure. I'm 10 billion%, it's his little catchphrase. And so I got into the second episode just now, and we have a situation in which the two main characters go to get Yuzuriha. I still can't say her name. I'm sorry. The main girl that that Taiju was in love with. But while getting her, they're chased by some lions, and they decide to fight them off. And in order to fight them off, they get the strongest fighter in their school. Again, here comes another name. I'm sorry. Sukasha, I think. And he is very much a hunter. He is shown that he can fight animals barehanded. He can hunt. He literally rips a bird out of the sky. He goes into the rivers and the oceans, and he gets a bunch of fish. And it is there that we start seeing this interesting dynamic in that, like, he starts to question Senku a little bit. There's a bit of tension because Senku isn't stupid. He very much knows that this newcomer, this new hunter, has ulterior motives. And it is revealed towards the end of the episode, bit of a cliffhanger here, it is revealed that the new member, Sukasa? I'm so sorry, I don't know names. But the new hunter, he basically doesn't want to live in a world with corrupt adults. So he very much he ends up destroying one of the stoned adults. And he clashes with Senku because Senku is determined to save everyone. He doesn't want to limit who can come back. And so far, this show is very solid. The color work is amazing. The character designs are great. Animation is very solid. The writing is also really good. It's very easy to digest what Senku is saying. And he also can translate things into layman's terms for Taiju. Again, Taiju is very much just like us as the audience, right? And it's super cool seeing these guys rebuild civilization. They're going to somehow, in some way, even though only being high schoolers, they even make fun of this, in which Taiju asks Senku, like, what kind of high schooler are you? Because apparently Senku went to Africa to study Ebola, which is really odd. And like, I don't know any high schoolers that would do that, but he's also just like this crazy Einstein, like 1 in 1 million kind of guys who is just too smart for his own good. But I'm very excited to see where this series is going. I have some really high hopes, actually. I'm not gonna lie. This may or may not get into like my top 20, top 15 list. I don't know what you call it these days. It's just really good. It could become one of my favorites. But again, time will tell. We're only 2 episodes in. Who knows? Maybe the series will hit a lull. Maybe the series will drop in quality. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm definitely excited. Check out Dr. Stone. Oh, and before you ask, yes, the manga is on my list. I will get around to it. So I just got done watching 2 episodes of Fire Force. At the time of recording, there's only 2 episodes. And Fire Force is being done by David Production, which, if you know anything about David Production, they did the JoJo's. They also did Bento, which is a really, really good action anime I would recommend. I also recommend JoJo. If you haven't watched JoJo, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But anyways, coming back to Fire Force. So here we are at Fire Force, and we have a opening episode that is... It gets its job done. With most opening episodes, it has to introduce its characters, introduce the world, introduce the mechanics of the world or the lore. We are shown that in this world, humans are spontaneously combusting, and they are becoming infernals. And it is up to this Fire Force, who our main protagonist, Mr. Hold on, I'm trying to find out. Shinra, my bad. Mr. Shinra wants to become a part of, and he ends up becoming a part of. But it's this Fire Force that is supposed to take out the Infernals, and it's shown in a way, it's not like a traditional hunting way, I guess you could say. It's more so like these people are chosen to save these people's lives. There is a nun on the team named Iris, and she does these prayers. There is very much like a spiritual side to it, that like you have to put the body to rest. It's not, like muscle-bound firefighters chopping fire infernals in half. No. It's done in a very like respectful way, where it's very much just like, we are going to help relieve the person's soul so they can no longer be suffering. And there's actually a really interesting part in episode 2, but I'll get to that eventually. First, let me go ahead and go over episode 1. Right, we're introduced to Shinra. Shinra is our main character, and he is a young man who is a Generation 3 pyrokinesis person, and he went through this academy and ended up becoming part of the Fire Force. He smiles. He like really evilly smiles whenever he is stressed out or is tense. And when he was younger, there was an infernal that attacked his home and killed his mother and his younger brother, if I'm remembering that correctly. And people suspect it was him because he has the ability to spawn flames out of his feet. And he got the nickname the Devil because he was smiling while his family was passed away. Assumingly, people assumed he did it, which, if you watch the anime, you know that he didn't do it. We'll eventually see who has done it. It's shown in episode 2 that he's starting to question, maybe other people on the Fire Force know who that Infernal was. Maybe they know what happened in the fire. We also have the captain of the Fire Force, who is a super cool dude. I actually really like him. He's really like solid, authoritative kind of father figure to Shinra. He's a really cool dude. He's just a normal human. So is Iris the nun. They're just normal humans. Then we have the vice captain or lieutenant, I guess you could say. Takahisa? Forgive me with names. I'm bad with names. But him and this other member of the Fire Force named Maki are second generation pyrokinesis people who can't spawn flames like Shinra. They need fire starters, as shown in episode 2. they need fire starters so then that way they can control flames. But the first episode does its job. It shows the world. It shows how this fire force operates, how they deal with infernals, how the public sees a fire force. In the first episode at the end, there's a man's wife who ends up becoming an infernal, and the man or the husband is very much like, please put my wife to rest. She's in pain. Do it peacefully. And this is actually really interesting. I find this really interesting. It's not glorifying the killing of infernals. And in episode 2, it is very much enforced because the captain tells Shinra and the new member Arthur, I'll get back to him in a second, but he tells Arthur and Shinra to never show their weapons, to not like glorify the killing of infernals. That it is a very painful and a very upsetting job. It is not something to aspire to, which is interesting and conflicting with Shinra, because Shinra wants to become a hero. He wants to become someone who will protect everybody because he wanted to protect his mother. His mother was actually really cool. She had like sharp teeth like him, and I thought like, oh, that's really adorable that they gave him sharp teeth like him. But let's get back to the beginning of episode 2. We are introduced to our new character who is going to be joining the Fire Force, named Arthur. And he is very much a knight. He gave me a Blue Exorcist vibe, if you've ever watched Blue Exorcist. And him and Shinra have a little bit of a rivalry. And he uses this Excalibur sword, which is a plasma cutter. And, the second episode started a little strange because it was pretty comedic. It has Maki and Iris having like a little bit of lunch on the roof. And then Shinra and Arthur barge in. And they keep staring at the camera and like breaking the fourth wall and making these jokes. And then the lieutenant tells Maki to test the two, and they end up having a nice little fight. I will say that is something really good about the show. The action scenes, the fight scenes, the whatever you want to call it, heavy animation, I guess you could say, look amazing. They look solid. They are definitely a reason why you would watch the show. The coloring of the flames is also really nice. The stark contrast between, the flames against the background. In this case with Arthur's, whose flames are like blue, or his weapon's blue and his eyes are blue. Shinra's eyes are red, and it adds to the color. There's this really interesting shot where they show infernals in a rather different art style than the main show, but it's still they've used it like 3 times now that I've seen it, and I really like that shot. I wish it was reused more, but we'll see. Anyways, we have Maki. She completely wipes the floor with these guys, and then we move on into seeing the new weapons. We see more into the Fire Force's arsenal. We have the captain explaining that he has to carry a lot of equipment, and it's really, really heavy. And then we have another scene where the Fire Force must go stop an infernal. It is this young girl's father. Her mother had already become an infernal. And this was actually pretty emotional. There is a really emotional scene towards the end where the captain, sits down with her and explains that like her parents were saving her from the flames, that she won't combust, that they protected her till the very end. And it was actually a really touching moment. It was actually something very much that type of character would do. We also see a tease of this man with a eye patch whose name I believe is Joker. I might have to rewatch this, but oh no, I have it here. Yeah, okay, so his name is Joker. He's this man wearing his eye patch, or not really an eye patch, but he's just covering one of his eyes, and he is shown to be like manipulating or adding fuel to the fire when it comes into the infernals. He knows a lot more. He definitely seems like he's going to become an antagonist, but we'll have to wait to see more of him. He's very much just like at the end of episode 2. And that is, pretty much episode 2. There's a little teaser at the end showing that Arthur and Shinra are going to be becoming friends. And I'm very much looking forward to where this show is going. There's definitely going to be more characters added in because of the OP. And I may or may not have looked at some of the manga. And before you ask, yes, this is on my manga list, believe me. My manga list and my anime list are very, very long. There's a lot that I gotta get through. but I will try to get through it as fast as I can, so then that way I can come here and talk to you guys about it. Let me know down below what you think of Fire Force. I probably will tack on Dr. Stone with this, or maybe before this. So let me know what you think about Dr. Stone and Fire Force, if you're going to be keeping up with these, if you're going to start reading the manga. I might start reading the manga, but I'm afraid of spoiling myself. I am very much like an anime only kind of guy, but like I very much do like reading some mangas. But yeah, thanks for listening. Check the links in the description. Have a great day and subscribe for future videos.